Donna, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks so much for having me, Sam. I'm so excited.
Same. We've already did the podcast episode before we pressed record. I was like, oh no, everyone's missing out on this amazing stuff. So I'm so honored to have you here. And as we were talking about, like, divine timing and us coming together is so divinely perfect right now. We have mutual friends, and we have kind of things that are going on in our lives, like, at the same time. And I love connecting with people at that right moment, you know. So I'm really honored to have you here. And, you know, this podcast, as you know, is all about the inner experience, and I'm here to really encourage and invite and guide people into their own self and offer them different ways that they can do that. And I think you have a really beautiful way, transformational way, and something that I've never talked about ever on this podcast before. And so I think this is just going to be so, so good for people. So let's rewind our conversation that we were having around what you do and what this is about. I'll hand it over.
Sure. Thank you. Thanks so much. And thanks again for having me here. I'm just thrilled to be here. And as you said, like, the coinciding personal experiences that we're having, and also having those mutual friends, the divine timing always just blows my little pea brain.
I know.
So we were talking about family constellation therapy. So I'm a family constellation therapist. I'm an energy healer. I'm a coach, a soul coach, but I really, and I also do a whole lot of work around star beings as well. I do a whole lot of star being activation work and things like that too. So it's a bit of a diverse offering.
Yeah, I'm like, damn it, there's so many things I could talk about now. But hey, let's start with family constellation. That's good.
Let's start there, shall we?
Yeah.
So I was explaining to you, like, how, you know, sometimes we get to places within our lives and within our healing journey where we're just like hitting the ceiling, and it feels like the same issues are recurrent, that they come up, and then maybe 6 months or 12 months later they come up again, and it feels like we're peeling back the layer of the onion, another layer. Am I allowed to swear on the podcast, Sam? Another
Honestly, it's how I express passion, so I'm here for it.
Good, me too. And so, you know, it's like when you keep hitting the same thing over and over again, and it is frustrating as hell. And that happened for me. I was like, do you know what? Like, I've gotten to this point and my life is awesome, but I couldn't crack a few nuts. I couldn't meditate some of my problems away. I couldn't coach it away. I couldn't anything away. I couldn't mindset work it away. And then I came across family constellation therapy, which obviously I later trained in. But if you think about, so family constellation therapy involves the morphic field. It is a biological phenomenon, and that's actually what the energetic field of our family system is. So it's found in nature as well. Like, the morphic field is the field that informs birds to fly in a V. If you think about it being the consciousness of a family or a system or a group of beings or animals, then that's how, like, there's this natural blueprinting within that field that guides the birds in the V formation. Or, as I was saying to you before, if you were to think about a wolf pack, every wolf in the pack has its own position, its own role, and its own responsibilities. And when each wolf is in their rightful position and doing their rightful duties and responsibilities, that wolf pack is really strong. They're a healthy wolf pack. They thrive. They're able to catch prey. They're able to nourish their young. It works. And the same goes for our family systems, where there are rightful roles and positions within our family system. And when everyone's standing in those rightful positions within the morphic field, the energetic field of our family system, then the family system is strong. Now, let me just go back a step to talking about, like, why this is important. So as human beings, we're obviously born into a family, and our primary need is to belong to that family just to survive, you know, just to have that shelter and that food. And so we are hardwired to belong to our family systems, and we will do anything it takes to belong to the family system too. And that might be following in the pattern and the footsteps of our mothers, our grandmothers, some of our other ancestors. We might adopt I've got this like a line on my forehead, which is a wrinkle like my dad's. You know, we adopt different patterns and of behavior, and we do sorts of similar things to like bond with our parents, and we do this out of love and loyalty. And sometimes we also unknowingly, you know, there's a lot of talk around epigenetics, right? And a lot of people know a lot about that. But this is, for me, it takes it to that next level. It's the unconscious patterning that happens that we don't even really know is going on. And so, now where do I go? There's so much to say, Sam.
Yeah. Is that like, would that be inclusive of like certain patterns that aren't actually serving us, right? Like, for instance, something that I've seen modeled in the lineage of the feminine in my line, in my family line, is the strong, independent woman who wants to do it all herself and is going to have a hard time receiving help.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. I was born into that lineage too. And then so there's all this patterning around, we've got to be it all, we've got to do it all, we can't accept help. And how do you even receive? And that takes me kind of to the next stage in this, which is when everyone's in their rightful positions in the family system, that life force energy is flowing, the love is flowing, the nurturing, if you like, or the support is also flowing. And so we're meant to be, as a child, doesn't matter how old we are, we're meant to be standing in front of our parents are meant to be behind us, and the life force energy is meant to be flowing through the family system, through mum and dad into us. And you know, it's really funny because I think sometimes we pretend like we're like this independent being, like, oh yeah, like, sure, I've got this family, but you know, I'm off here doing my own thing, la la la.
Mm-hmm.
But it's actually not right at all. Like, we can never escape our family system. We're always a part of it. We always have a place in it. This is about how healthy our family system is, because when our family system is healthy and we're getting all of the life force energy that we need, then we are starting to receive. We're starting to receive from mum and dad energetically. We're starting to receive all of the different things in our lives that we want. I said to you before, like, basically that it is the blueprint. Our ability to receive energy from mum and dad is our blueprint for receiving everything in our life. It's our relationship with the divine, our ability to receive money, our ability to receive love, our ability to receive really great health, like joy, like contentment, all the things. And it's the one modality, Sam, that I found that has actually fucking healed my shit. Like, has actually gotten to the source of what's been having me feel like I've got a glass ceiling in my life, or having that, you know, recurrent same issue come up over and over again. Like, it doesn't happen anymore. It's just crazy how amazing it is.
So how does it work? Because are we saying that the relationship in our physical existence to our mum, to our dad, to our family needs to be bonded and healthy and well connected and well oiled? Or are you saying that the work that you do in this family constellation that we're talking about is where it needs to be clean and healthy and whatever? Like, is there a difference? Is it the same? Like, how does it work?
Such a great question, because many people are estranged from their families, or some family members are still with us and are not. It's such an awesome question. Thank you for asking. It is really about the energetics. If you think about it as our higher selves or our souls sitting within the family system, it's the energetic relationships that I'm talking about. So, for instance, if you've had abuse from your mother or your father and it's actually not safe for you to be around them, there is no need for you to put yourself in harm's way to make this work. This gets to work work, whether you are in contact with your family members or you're not, or they're alive or they're deceased. It really doesn't matter. It is more about the energetics of it. And then the beautiful thing is, from my experience has been, and the experience of quite a number of my clients, is the relationship in the physical realms also has an opportunity to improve.
Wow. So what do you do? How does this work?
Basically, open up the field, or I open up the field, and I let the field of your family system guide me, and we allow what needs to be expressed, and that's part of the deep healing that occurs. And so then we're tuning, or if I was to do a session, you say, Sam, you're tuning in to the different people in your family system, and I have a particular process and way to guide you through that, which is really cool that, you know, you can do it distantly or online. It doesn't need to be in person. And so you're tuning into what's going on for each individual in the field of your family system. And then once we start to do the constellation, which is putting everyone in their rightful positions, and also often releasing a whole lot of trauma or unprocessed trauma that you've inherited from, say, mum or dad or anyone else in your family system, we do all this release work, which is just actually, you know, taking it out of your physical body. So all this stuff has an incredible impact on our physical bodies. You can feel the changes happening while you're doing the work in the field. And then once you are all in your rightful positions, you can feel the difference between how you felt before standing in the field and now how you feel afterwards, where everyone's in their rightful positions. The trauma, the unprocessed trauma, has been rightfully given back to the person it belongs to. And then often what happens is you're starting to now feel that life force energy that's coming into your body. A lot of people explain it as they're just like this big experience of relief, like a big sigh of relief. Some people feel it as lightness, some people feel it as love starting to flood into their bodies and through their ancestry. Some people feel it as neutral. If they've had like really challenging relationships, it moves from not having from having been highly negatively charged to neutrality. It's different for everyone.
Wow.
But it's, you know, that relief, that sense of relief, to me, that is our nervous systems going, oh, like I'm finally getting what I need. When you're feeling like you're actually getting what you need, you can fucking go off and create the life of your dreams. You know, you can
do
have
anything.
it all. You can. It's like having the wind beneath your wings.
So when somebody does this then affect their family that isn't participating?
Yeah.
So the energetic changes that someone might feel in the work that they do on themselves, then all of a sudden, like, you might see a change in a family member or your connection to them.
Yes. Or, you know, as well, you know what they're saying. How does that saying go, Sam? Where it's like you do all the work, but it appears like everyone else changes, and they've actually.
Yeah.
You know, that too. But I also think that once we do this healing work within ourselves, it gives space to other family members, should they choose to take up that healing and do something for themselves, and maybe they will. I've seen that happen quite a bit. But often there's just more of a sense of ease within those relationships.
Okay. And so what do you find is the most common thing that people come and like seek this out? Like, how would someone know if they're ready for family constellation, or is it something that like it's just a no-brainer like for anyone, you know?
Well, I think all families can probably do with a bit of healing, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know when you're ready. People know when they're ready. They meet me or they get introduced to me. It's almost, I don't know, it's not almost, it is like our family system taps us on the shoulder and they're like, off you go. You know you're ready, and it's just people you just know. So do people come to me for particular things? Sometimes, but then it's not always because they want to heal their family system. Usually people come to me for other reasons. They come because they are starting a business, or they want they're feeling stopped in particular areas of their life, or they're in a transition point, their marriage is breaking down, or they're going through a big change in their life. Or
nothing about that.
I've lots of people who are going through transition come to me. People who want to deepen their spiritual journey and start to live that soul-centered, heart-centered life, and really have to unlearn everything to be able to do that. For varying reasons. But sometimes people come because they know that they've got this, unprocessed trauma sitting within them that's really hindering them from living their best life.
Yeah.
How
were you, what made you inspired to get into this? How did you know that this is what you needed to do for people?
Well, first of all, I was introduced to the person who taught me, and my Family Constellation Therapist. She's amazing. And I heard her speaking as a guest speaker in one of the courses that I was doing. It was a business kind of mastermind course. And when I heard her speak, I was like, oh my God, this is for me. This is my jam. I need to do this. This is the very thing that I have not been able to resolve yet. And then as I was doing it, I'm like, this is just the bee's knees. I want everyone to be able to have access to it, I want everyone to have this experience of what I've had, because it's just meant that my whole life has gotten easier and more fun and better in every way.
How? Tell me the juice. What is something that you really felt transformed for you when you did it?
It definitely has transformed my relationships with both my mum and dad.
Yeah.
And for me, that was really significant. I want to be really mindful and respectful of both of them in this space. But with one of them, for me, there was an element of not feeling like I wasn't sure if I could fully trust one of them. And the first thing that came up in the constellation I did with that particular parent was that I absolutely 100% could trust them. And it changed everything, Sam.
Wow.
And then with one of the other parent, for me, it was a source of not really fully being, even though I know that they both love me, right? I've always known that, to look in from the outside, you would see a pretty happy family. But my inner experience as I've grown up was that I wasn't understood. I wasn't seen and connected with on an emotional level that I really needed as a super sensitive bod, as a highly emotional Piscean being, spiritual being. And I came into a muggle family, basically, that I just didn't get the kind of depth of emotional connection and understanding of what I needed. And I felt like that was a constant source of challenge for me. It's where my too muchness, my not enoughness came from. It's too sensitive, too emotional, never feeling like I measured up, never had that good enough stuff, and it's really interesting as well, to talk about these family patterns. God, I wasn't expecting to share this, but we're going to go there, Sam. Talking about these family patterns, my mum had me when she was 24, and she experienced quite a lot of trauma around the time that birth. And when I was 24, I was sexually assaulted.
Wow.
And I never put two and two together around the timing of that until I've done the family constellation therapy. I'm like, yes, because I stepped into a position within the family system where there was unprocessed trauma, and I stepped into a role in an effort out of love and loyalty and trying to heal this unprocessed trauma in my family system, I subconsciously chose to go through trauma at a similar age to my mum, around, of course, the same chakras, right?
Holy crap.
Yes. And so this is the sort of stuff that happens, right, where then I get to like, oh, fuck, like that's, you know, so this is just like one tiny thing, right? But then I'm like, okay, so I used also family constellation therapy to get to the final like healing crux of all of the trauma that I went through with that sexual assault. Like I finally got able to leave let it leave my body. And like that in and of itself is fucking amazing and crazy, you know, that it doesn't need to hang around. It doesn't need to be an ongoing issue. It can be fucking done and dusted. And so that's why I want to do this stuff, Sam, because I feel like there are so many people out there doing amazing healing work, but it doesn't quite work. Like they get to a point where it just stops working. And they're like, oh, am I not a good enough student? Am I not a good enough spiritual fucking person? Am I not like, have I not done enough shadow work? Have I not done this or that? Or like, and it just feeds back into that loop, that perpetual fucking cycle of not enoughness. And so the very thing that we're striving for, you know, and using these like personal development tools and stuff, we end up beating ourselves up with because it stops working. But it's not because it's just because you haven't found the right key. Yeah, like that's what I feel about family constellation therapy. It's like, Dulls, you have tried enough, you have done enough. It's not about you. It's just that there's this thing over here called the family system that you haven't delved into.
Oof, okay, this is all good. So there's so much in what I hear as well that I want to kind of pull out, which is around something that you said, that you felt it leave your body, and that you know, you felt that grief and trauma actually leave your body, which enabled you to then completely let it go and not have, or you know, whatever we want to call it, so to then not have it in your body, to then have to relive and you know, attract it in many different ways. And I think that is something that people struggle with, right? I'm doing the work, I'm doing all these things, but I'm still finding myself in the same position, because often what happens is that it's still trapped in our body. We haven't moved it from head to our body, embodiment, and getting it out. Yes,
exactly.
So family constellation is about the embodiment piece, right? And how does that, what about it allows you to tap into your body and allow it to release from there?
Because when you're getting that life force energy through mum and dad or your ancestors behind you, your body is receiving all of the life force energy it needs, and it is able to heal itself.
Wow.
And so so for instance, when I did that constellation, and also let me be clear, that took 2 constellations for me to do that with that sexual assault, because it was such a significant thing for me. And I was doing also like regular, like this is, you know, over quite a period of time. It wasn't just like that. But sometimes for some people it is like that. But why is it in your body? Because unprocessed trauma sits in our body. It sits in the field of the family system, yes, but we're carrying it in our bodies. It's physical. The energy blocks in our bodies. And so when we are transforming, when we're healing, it's all about our bodies. Like, yes, it's all about the family system, but it's all about our bodies. It's everything about how we can like breathe in. I feel like it's like we're breathing in that life force energy, and our nervous systems just like go into that, you know, warm liquid honey state. And it is
I love warm liquid honey state.
It is the best, yeah. It just naturally happens. It's just naturally happens within the family constellation therapy.
So I'm going to bring up something personal in my journey that's happened recently too, because of where this conversation is going, because I'm curious if it's not just about our direct parents, if it's about ancestors or things that have happened in different lives, because so a couple of months ago, I had this like visceral reaction in my body to watching, I was listening to a podcast that was actually quite triggering at the time. It was talking about witches being burned at the stake and how we hold that in our body. And that's why we can be scared of public speaking and different things like this. And, you know, stepping into our power as a woman. And at the same time, I watched this woman that was walking ahead of me. And she was just like minding her own business and just like going for a walk. And this dude on a bike like went really fast past her. And at the very last minute rang the bell and her whole body like stiffened and just like froze up. And I just like watched this play out. And it doesn't seem like anything significant, but because I was listening to this thing around, we walk around in fear and in shame and in like, we never know what's going to happen. And if we get up to public speak, we're held back because we don't want to share our power and yada, yada, yada. And it's because there's like perhaps something that's stored in our body from, you know, so many different past lives ago. So I had that visceral reaction and then it brought up a lot of emotion and I just started crying. I'm like here walking around the lake, just crying. So I was like, okay, this is really interesting. I was then in a ceremony with fire and this thing played out with the fire of me being burned at the stake. And I watched it just like completely burn to the ground. And I felt this release out of my body. Like there was a message that came through from that fire that was about needing to kind of, what's the word? Like close that thing that I was holding on to around not being fully able to step into who I am as a woman because of that thing that was just stored. And it was connected to my womb. I was connected to that part of me. And as soon as I was able to burn that to the fire and burn it to the ground, the portal that opened up and the channel and clearing that opened up in that area was like the most profound feeling I've ever had. So I bring that up and I share that because I'm curious if we hold on to stuff from, you know, if that's legit or if that's something that was just, you know, in my thing.
Of course it's legit, Sam. Like, and how many of us have been burnt as witches at the stake? I feel like so many of us have this remembrance and this fear that's so deeply ingrained. If we haven't been burned at the stake as witches once, so we've been burned at the stake as witches a fucking 100 times, you know. It's not just potentially even once. And so there's two things about that I want to say around that. And one is, how many ancestors have we got? Like, how far back does our lineage go, and what could still be being carried within our family system? You know, whether it is, you know, surviving wars or, you know, who knows what, but all of that stuff comes through in the family constellation therapy, like all of the stuff that's still being carried through those lineages. So, you know, if so we went so far back as witches being burnt at the stake and your mother had her sister burnt at the stake, you know, and however many generations back, like it stays in the field. It can stay in the field, definitely, if it hasn't already been healed. And then the other thing that I want to say, Sam, is that the other interesting thing is that sometimes past life stuff comes up in the field too. In fact, it's happened quite a bit, and especially like around relationships or particular issues going on, conception things, different things like concern around people, their partners leaving and different stuff like that. Often past life stuff comes up and wants to be healed through the family system too. Yeah,
wow. That's so interesting. Yes. And so is there a way, like, how does the actual process work? Like, am I, does any family system, like, is it just me and you that would work directly together, or is it just you basically utilizing the energy, or how do I tap into the energy fields? You know what I mean? There's so many questions I have here because people be like, hang on, wait, what's happening?
Basically, I would show you that in a session, really. But yes, it would be you and I working. I'm listening and tuning in to the field of your family system, and you're doing the work with your family system, and I'm guiding you through a process. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. Wow.
But I can do a mini one for you now if you'd like, for you and your listeners.
Yeah, let's do it. Why not?
Okay. All right.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
All right. So I also feel like this sense of nervousness there. So if anyone is feeling like a little nervous about it, like it's okay, like, because it's kind of a big thing to tackle or take on, healing our family system. It's actually really big and significant. So know that if you're here though, it's obviously perfect for you to be hearing this. All right, so close your eyes, and take a breath. Just feel into your body. Yeah. There's nothing to do, like your family system, all of your ancestors are already all around you. If you're listening to this, they're all clapping and cheering, like they want you to have this. So see a room in front of you. It's a big open room. You walk in, you close the door behind you. You go and stand in the center of the room. And find where there's a sense of facing forward. So maybe you're going to face towards an open window, or like a big window or an open wall, or if there's light coming in the room, maybe you turn towards that. So making sure that you're facing the future in that regard. I'm going to ask you to invite your mum into the room now. And let's keep this quite simple. We'll keep this as your biological mum. So if anyone has any questions around, but which mum? Have your biological mother come in. And if you don't know who she is, have what you think a good representation of her would be. Ask her to come and stand in front of you. And connect with her for a moment. Acknowledge her presence. And perhaps you'd like to say to her, "Hi Mum, it's me." And if her name's Sam, say Sam. "Hi Mum, it's me. You are my mother, and I am your daughter or son. Mum, we've been through a lot together. Just take another deep breath and settle into your body. We've had challenges and good times. And you've gone through a lot, Mum, to be where you are today. Mum, I'm going to ask that you move into your rightful place within the family system now. And ask her to walk around behind you and stand behind your left shoulder. And if there's anyone listening who's had some real challenges with Mum, that doesn't actually feel safe to have Mum nearby, then what you can do is put a boundary around your Mum. Maybe it's like a big green circle, if that feels good. But if it's not necessary, that's fine. And you can adjust Mum so she's a little bit further behind you or a little bit closer in, whatever feels good. Notice if you can feel any energy behind you. Notice if you can feel your Mum behind you. Good. Now I'm going to ask you to turn around and face her. So standing in the same spot, you turn around and face her. And say, "Mum, I haven't always been good at receiving. There have been some times where I've been able to receive your love, but not always. I've had things in the way that have prevented me from fully receiving your love and life force energy. But anything that's been in the way of me receiving your love and life force energy, I'm going to take that out of my body, and you can scoop that out of your body now. And if this belongs to your mother, then you can give it back to your mum. Maybe it's the coding of needing to be a strong, independent woman. Any trauma, perhaps that's unprocessed around being able to depend upon others or rely upon others. Scooping that up and taking that out of your body. And you can let your mum know now, Mum, I'm ready to heal this unprocessed trauma. Ready to give back over that which I've picked up and carried out of love and loyalty to you and our family in an effort to help resolve it. But I'm giving back over all that's not mine to whoever it belongs to now. Mum, I'm ready to receive your support. I'm ready to receive your life force energy. I'm ready to receive your love. Okay, and lastly, thanking her for the gift of life. Truly is the greatest gift that we can ever receive. If there's anything else that you want to say to your mum, you can say that now. And when that's complete, you can turn back around so you're facing forward, you're facing the future. And you've got mum behind you, behind your left shoulder again. And just notice how that feels, if it feels any different or not. And maybe you'd even like to lean back a little towards her. Just noticing what you feel, how your body feels. How comfortable you feel having your mum behind you. You can allow your mum to be released from this room now. Let her walk out the way she came in. And you can turn around and walk back out the way that you came in too. Coming back to sitting or walking or standing or laying wherever you are. And having another deep breath, just feeling what the feels are in your body. Good. And when you're ready, gently opening your eyes.
Oof.
How was that for you, Sam?
Yeah, that was amazing. That felt, I definitely feel a significant difference from before to then after. you know, it's funny, like a lot of the body image stuff came up again, like of letting that go, which I think we'll speak, I can't remember, I think we'll speak about that before we hit record, but essentially the feminine of, as a woman, how I've held on to so long the shame for my body. And within that process, I felt, so yeah, that was one. And the other one was not allow, you said something around like not being able to rely on others. So that was something that also showed up for me, but I felt it in my chest. I felt like this, like almost like a lightning bolt, just like exit my chest and just like be released. And at the end, I felt much more connected and warmer in my body and grounded in my seat that I'm sitting in.
Yes, that's really beautiful, Sam.
Yeah. Yeah. What was your process? Like, do you feel something similar as to what I feel?
As you do it? I could, part of it, I was like, really had that intention to hold this process for whoever is listening. And then another part of me, and then I felt like the field was like, just go in with Sam. And that's why I said the stuff around, I was just listening to your field, your family system. And that's why I said the things around being able to depend and rely upon other people. Feels like, you know, because really in our family systems we're designed for that. You know, we're all there needing each other, and I think we as women especially are taught to do this whole independence and shun codependence and all that shit, but we actually really need each other. And when we let ourselves need each other, and when we let ourselves receive from each other, we're also so much stronger.
I totally agree. Yes. And I think that's so perfectly aligned with the whole letting go of the lone wolf thing, right? Because I've been going literally going through this process of releasing that from my system, and it's shown up not only in allowing my family, like myself and my family members, to be closer, but also around community, and actually allowing me to rely and to open up to other people, and just community and relationships and friendships as a whole, and working relationships and all of those things. Whereas when I was so deeply like gripped onto the lone wolf thing, I literally had that belief, like, I can't rely on anyone, do it all yourself, like, you've got this, like, don't let anyone in. Like, it was so close-hearted. And so I love that you picked up on that, because definitely showed up a little bit again.
And you know, it's really cool because you would be doing your best as the lone wolf, and that's potentially what you came in with. I know that that's what I came in with. Like, this is the aspect of myself that I've mastered in past lives, like strong, independent woman, you know, who can cope without other people and can cope without their family. But I know that part of my soul path for this lifetime is also doing it all together. So like what we're really ultimately talking about is receiving. It's like, how much light can you let in to your body? How much of the divine light can you let into your body? How much love can you let into your body, into you? How much friendship can you let in? How much community can you let in? How much collaboration can you let in if that feels aligned for you? You know, like how much, all those things. Like, now we're back to where we were talking about at the beginning, which is, now you get what I mean, like the more that you can let that life force energy in from your parents behind you and through your family system, you don't have glass ceilings anymore, because then you get to be like, you know what, mom and dad, you and all the ancestors behind you, you're like, you can say to them, you know, you guys have done your best, you're all so amazing, and I'm going to take all the good bits from each of you, and I'm going to take that and I'm going to create a life in honor of you that is bigger and better than anyone in our family system has had yet. And instead of trying to conform and be small and fit into those familial patterns, we get to actually receive their love and do it in honor of them.
That feels so good on my nervous system to do that, you know, like I think so much of why I'm even here and committed to doing this work on myself is for not only the generations to come, but also those that have walked before me. Like, I'm so deeply like connected to that. And so when you say that, I'm like, of course. Like, sometimes it just needs to be said and reflected back to be able to click in. But that, that's so beautiful.
And then the next leap I want to stay into that is, you know, if there is anyone considering parenthood or mothering, or becoming a mother, like, the children that want to come in at the moment are such high vibrational souls that actually it's our job to be clearing the space. And so they're not stepping into the family system and then stepping in and picking up that unprocessed trauma and blah, 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 and then having to, no, they can't have any of that. Like, we've got to do the work and heal all the stuff first, because they're fucking amazing, these souls that are coming in. Like, they're amazing. And so that's part of what I'm running my Spirit Babies course at the moment, and we're basically clearing the way for these high vibrational souls to incarnate. We're doing like the family constellation work, and we're, you know, connecting the mothers with the souls of their babies out in spirit, and all their spiritual teams to help incarnate these high vibrational babies too. That's a whole nother story, Sam.
Oh my gosh, there's so many things. So where can people go, Donna, to find out more about this if they do want to connect or go into this work deeper?
They can find me at my website, which is donnawallace.com.au. Wallace is Wallace. You'll also catch me on Instagram, and my handle is Modern Day Medicine Woman XOXO.
Amazing.
So you'll find me there.
Yay. I love that. And thank you so much for taking us through that process too, for people to get a bigger insight as to what goes on, because it actually is quite a beautiful process. Like, you get to go into that state and having, like, I felt supported whilst you were there, you know, like it felt like I could go there because you were right there, but it also didn't feel like confronting, or it didn't feel invasive. Like, it felt really comfortable to be able to do that. So
that's the beautiful thing about family constellation therapy too. It doesn't need to be re-traumatizing yourself. It doesn't need to be like, you know, sure, there might be stuff that comes up, but to me, it's like you just can process it and integrate it all so easily. It's just like safe.
Yeah, safe. That's a good word for it.
Yeah,
so good. Well, thank you so much.
That was just like such a mini snapshot on what, like, you know, customizing something to you.
Yeah, I love that.
Super fun. Yeah. But thank you so much for having me on, Sam.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for joining and being open and vulnerable and sharing these gifts and your passions with us. I really felt all of that, and I really honor you for your work and for your dedication to doing this for other people, because you had that whole experience for yourself. I think, you know, anyone who's willing to do what you did for you and then go out and share that with the world is making the world a better place. As cliche as it sounds, you really are, and I really honor you for that. Is there anything you want to leave us with, or any last bit of insights that you'd like to share?
Really, that you have everything already there. The love from your family system is already in place. It's just about uncovering the stuff that gets in the way. Just like each of us, you know, you and everyone else, Sam, we all have it within us. There's nowhere to get to. There's no fucking, you know, goal. We don't want to be the horse and the carrot. That gets us nowhere in the end. You have everything within you need, and everything around you that you ever need as well.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Sam.